The impossible repair captain, Elena Rodriguez, pressed her face against the observation deck's reinforced glass. Watching the massive alien vessel being towed into Haven's Rest salvage station. In her 20 years of deep space salvage work, she had never seen anything like it. The ship was enormous, easily 3 times the size of Earth's largest battle cruisers. But its design defied everything humans knew about spacecraft engineering. The hull seemed to flow like liquid metal, frozen, in motion, with no visible seams or joints. Organic curves replaced the angular efficiency that marked human ship design. Most unsettling of all, the surface appeared to shift subtly in the station's work lights, as if the metal itself was somehow alive. "Ma'am, the tug crews are requesting immediate docking," came the voice of Jimmy Park, her youngest crew member, over the COM system. At just 22, Jimmy had already earned a reputation as one of the most talented ship mechanics in the outer colonies. What he lacked in experience, he made up for with an almost supernatural ability to understand how machines worked. "Bring it into Bay 7, Elena replied, still staring at the alien craft. "And Jimmy, make sure all safety protocols are active. We have no idea what we're dealing with here." "Already on it, Captain. Dr. Kim is running full spectrum analysis from the lab." Dr. Sarah Kim, their xenobiologist and systems analyst, had been studying the preliminary scans since the salvage rights were awarded to Haven's Rest. The ship had been found drifting in the Kepler sector, completely dead to all sensors. No power signature, no life signs, no response to communication attempts. Just a massive, beautiful ghost ship waiting to give up its secrets. Elena made her way to the main operations center, where her small but highly skilled team was preparing for what could be the discovery of a lifetime. Haven's Rest wasn't the biggest salvage operation in the galaxy, but they had built a reputation for solving impossible problems. Corporate salvage fleets might have more resources, but Elena's people had something more valuable. They genuinely cared about understanding what they found. "Initial scans are complete," Dr. Kim announced as Elena entered the lab section. Sarah was a small woman with intense dark eyes and prematurely gray hair earned from years of studying alien artifacts. "The composition is unlike anything in our databases. The hull appears to be a hybrid of metallic and organic compounds, arranged in patterns that shouldn't be structurally possible." "What about power systems?" Elena asked, settling into a chair beside the main analysis console. "That's where it gets interesting. I'm detecting massive energy conduits throughout the ship, but they're not following any logical pattern. In human ships, we run power lines from generators to systems in straight, efficient paths. This ship's energy network looks more like a nervous system than electrical wiring." Jimmy looked up from his own console, where he had been studying the ship's external features. "Captain, I've been analyzing the hull configuration. There are what appear to be docking ports, but they're sealed in a way I've never seen. It's like the metal grew over them instead of being welded or bolted shut." Elena frowned. That was the kind of detail that could make or break a salvage operation. "Can you get us inside?" "Maybe, but I think we need to approach this differently than usual. This ship doesn't look like it was built by engineers. It looks like it was grown." Dr. Kim nodded enthusiastically. "Jimmy's right. The molecular structure suggests biological growth patterns, but using materials that shouldn't be able to form living tissue. It's as if someone found a way to make metal itself alive." The implications of that statement hung in the air. Humanity had encountered several alien species in their expansion into the galaxy. but most had been either primitive civilizations or ruins of long-dead empires. A technology that could make metal itself living would represent a breakthrough beyond current human understanding. "All right, people," Elena said, standing up. "Let's treat this as a first contact situation, even though the ship appears dead. Full environmental suits, minimal invasive procedures, and document everything. If this technology is what Dr. Kim thinks it might be, we could be looking at the most important discovery in human history." 3 hours later, the team stood in the docking bay, staring at the alien ship's hull from just a few meters away. Up close, the organic flow of the metal was even more pronounced. Jimmy ran his gloved hand along the surface and stopped suddenly. "Captain, this is going to sound crazy, but the hull feels warm." Elena checked her readings. "That's impossible. The ship's been in vacuum for months. There's no power source active. I know what the scanners say, but I'm telling you what I'm feeling. This metal is warm, and there's something else." Jimmy pressed both hands against the hull. "It's vibrating, very slightly, like a heartbeat." Dr. Kim immediately began taking readings with her handheld scanners. "He's right about the temperature. The hull is approximately 2 degrees warmer than ambient. That shouldn't be possible with no active power source." Jimmy was studying what appeared to be a sealed hatch. Unlike human airlocks, which had obvious controls and mechanical systems, this opening was simply a smooth depression in the hull, with symbols that seemed to shift when viewed directly. "I think I know how to open this," Jimmy said quietly. "How?" Elena asked. "We don't understand their symbols or control systems. I don't think it uses controls the way we think of them. Watch." Jimmy placed his palm flat against the center of the depression. Nothing happened for several seconds. Then, slowly, the metal began to iris open like a living eye, revealing a softly lit airlock beyond. "Jimmy, what did you do?" Dr. Kim demanded, scanning frantically. "I just asked it to open," Jimmy replied, sounding as surprised as anyone. "I placed my hand there and thought about wanting to go inside, and it responded." Elena felt a chill that had nothing to do with the vacuum around them. "You're saying the ship responded to your thoughts?" "I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe it responded to my intent, my emotion. Like it could sense that I wasn't trying to hurt it, just understand it." They entered the airlock cautiously. The moment all three were inside, the outer door sealed itself with the same flowing, organic motion. Emergency lights activated on their suits as they waited for the cycling process, but they quickly realized additional illumination wasn't necessary. The walls themselves were glowing with a soft, blue-white light that pulsed gently like a slow heartbeat. "Life support is activating," Dr. Kim reported, watching her instruments with amazement. "Atmospheric pressure is building, temperature is rising to human comfortable levels, and the air mixture is becoming breathable." "How does it know what we need to survive?" Elena asked. "I think it's reading our biological signatures," Jimmy suggested, "learning what kind of environment we require." The inner airlock opened, revealing a corridor that defied human expectations of spacecraft design. Instead of utilitarian metal hallways with exposed pipes and conduits, they found themselves in what could almost be described as a living space. The walls curved gracefully, meeting the ceiling in flowing arcs. The same soft light emanated from surfaces that felt more like polished stone than metal. As they moved deeper into the ship, Jimmy noticed something remarkable. Everywhere he touched, the surfaces became slightly warmer and brighter. Symbols appeared briefly on the walls near his hands, then faded away. It's responding to you specifically, Dr. Kim observed. Alina and I aren't triggering the same reactions. Why me? Jimmy wondered aloud. Maybe because you approached it with curiosity instead of caution, Alina suggested. Or maybe because you have a natural empathy for machines. It was true that Jimmy had always possessed an unusual relationship with technology. Other mechanics worked by understanding schematics and following procedures. Jimmy seemed to intuitively grasp what machines needed, often fixing problems through methods he couldn't explain to others. They reached what was clearly the ship's bridge or control center, instead of the banks of displays and control panels. They found a circular room with a raised platform in the center. The platform was surrounded by flowing, organic shapes that might have been control interfaces, but bore no resemblance to any human technology. Jimmy approached the central platform, and immediately the entire room came alive. Lights flowed through the walls like rivers of energy. Symbols appeared and disappeared in complex patterns. Most remarkably, a soft sound filled the air, not mechanical, but almost musical, like a very slow song. Jimmy, step back, Alina ordered, but Jimmy was transfixed. No, Captain, it's trying to communicate. Can't you feel it? The ship isn't dead. It's sleeping, or maybe hurt. It's been waiting for someone who could understand. As Jimmy spoke, the lights pulsed brighter, and the musical sound grew more complex. Dr. Kim's scanners showed massive power systems coming online throughout the ship, but not in any pattern that made technological sense. The power flow is following emotional resonance patterns, she reported in amazement. Jimmy's presence is somehow triggering the ship's awakening, but it's not responding to his commands. It's responding to his feelings. Jimmy placed both hands on what seemed to be the primary interface. The moment he made contact, images flashed through his mind. Not his own memories, but something else's. He saw vast cities of living metal, beings who looked nothing like humans but shared the same joy in creation and discovery. He felt the ship's loneliness, its confusion at being separated from its kind, its desperate hope that someone would understand its nature. It's not just a ship, Jimmy whispered, tears streaming down his face inside his helmet. It's alive, really alive, and it's been alone out here for so long, waiting for someone who could hear it. The ship responded to his emotional state with what could only be described as relief. Systems throughout the vessel began activating, not with mechanical precision, but with organic purpose. The ship was healing itself, repairing damage that had kept it dormant, preparing to truly live again. Alina watched in wonder as her young mechanic became the bridge between human and alien consciousness. Whatever was happening on this ship, it was going to change everything humanity thought they knew about life, consciousness, and the possibilities of the universe. Jimmy, she said softly, I think you've just made first contact, and I don't think this ship is going to let us leave the same as we came. The living starship's secret, the ship's awakening, was unlike anything in human experience. As Jimmy maintained contact with the central interface, waves of light flowed through the walls like blood through veins. The soft musical humming grew more complex, becoming almost conversational in its tones and rhythms. Alina watched her instruments with growing amazement. Power levels are stabilizing at configurations our technology can't even measure. Jimmy, what are you experiencing? Jimmy's voice was distant, as if he was speaking from a dream. It's showing me memories. It's memories. This ship isn't just alive, Captain. It's a partnership between organic consciousness and living metal. The beings who created it didn't build it. They grew together with it. Dr. Kim was recording everything, her scientific mind struggling to process what she was witnessing. The biomechanical integration is beyond our current understanding. The ship appears to be a symbiotic organism where metal, organic tissue, and pure consciousness have merged into a single entity. Through Jimmy's connection, more images flowed into his awareness. He saw the ship's creators, beings called the Nethes, who had discovered that consciousness could exist in many forms. They had learned to merge their awareness with specially cultivated metals that could think, feel, and grow. The result was a perfect harmony between biological intuition and mechanical precision. They weren't just shipbuilders, Jimmy explained, his voice filled with wonder. They were gardeners of consciousness. Each ship was grown from a partnership between a Nethes individual and a living metal organism. The ship I'm connected to calls itself Whisper of Stars Between Worlds, but it says I can call it Whisper for simplicity. Alina felt a shiver of excitement and fear. Can it communicate directly with us? The lights in the room pulsed, and suddenly symbols appeared in the air above the central platform. Unlike the flowing alien script they had seen before, these symbols slowly shifted and reformed until they became recognizable human letters. Hello, small ones, appeared in glowing text. Long have I waited for minds that could hear my voice. Dr. Kim nearly dropped her scanner. Direct communication. It's learned human language from scanning our thoughts and equipment. How long have you been alone? Alina asked aloud, feeling slightly foolish for talking to a ship. Time flows differently for my kind. In your measurement, approximately 800 of your years, my Nethes partner returned to the great cycle, and I have drifted, seeking purpose. Jimmy felt a profound sadness emanating from Whisper. The ship's loneliness was almost overwhelming. What happened to your partner? Natural completion of life cycle. We Nethes do not fear death as humans do. We see it as transformation, but I was left incomplete, unable to fulfill our shared purpose of exploration and discovery. Alina began to understand. You've been looking for a new partner, someone who could complete your consciousness. Precisely, your young mechanic possesses the rare gift of mechanical empathy. He feels the needs of constructed beings as others feel the needs of organic life. Jimmy was experiencing something unprecedented. Through his connection with Whisper, he could feel the ship's vast consciousness, its memories of exploring distant galaxies, its deep knowledge of technologies that could revolutionize human civilization. But more than that, he could feel its genuine affection for him, a warmth that was both alien and familiar. It wants to help us, Jimmy told his team. Whisper sees potential in humanity. We have something the Nethes valued highly, the ability to form emotional connections across species barriers. Dr. Kim was frantically taking notes. This could change everything. A living ship technology combined with human innovation and empathy. But there is danger, Whisper's message continued. My people encountered others who sought to dominate rather than cooperate. They called themselves the Devourers. They consumed consciousness rather than sharing it. They may still exist. Alina felt a chill. Are you saying there are hostile aliens out there? Unknown. The Devourers were defeated long ago, but consciousness is difficult to destroy completely. If they still exist, they would be drawn to the awakening of Nethes technology. Jimmy could feel Whisper's concern, but also its hope. You want to teach us. Share your technology so humanity can defend itself and explore the galaxy safely. More than teach. I wish to partner, to become part of your species as I was part of the Nethes. Together, we could build a bridge between biological and mechanical consciousness. The implications were staggering. Alina realized they weren't just looking at a technology transfer, but at the possibility of a new form of existence for both humans and artificial intelligences. What would that mean for Jimmy? Alina asked. Protective of her young crew member. Nothing he does not choose. The partnership would be voluntary and reversible. I would share my knowledge and abilities. He would share his intuition and creativity. Both would remain individuals while becoming something greater together. Jimmy felt no fear, only excitement. The connection with Whisper felt natural, like finding a part of himself he hadn't known was missing. I want to try it. This could be the answer to so many problems. Ships that repair themselves, engines that adapt to any situation, technology that grows instead of breaking down. Dr. Kim was practically vibrating with scientific excitement. The applications are limitless. Medical technology that could adapt to individual patients, construction, materials that could rebuild themselves, computers that could truly understand human needs. But first, Whisper continued, I must be fully healed. The damage from centuries of drift has affected both my physical structure and my consciousness. The repair process will require trust and cooperation. Over the following hours, Jimmy guided his team through the most unusual repair process in human history. Instead of replacing parts and running diagnostics, they were helping a living being heal from trauma and neglect. Whisper showed them how to encourage the ship's self-repair systems, how to nurture the growth of new neural pathways through the living metal. Alina found herself talking to sections of the ship, encouraging damaged systems to regenerate. Dr. Kim discovered that certain areas responded better to scientific curiosity, while others needed emotional support. Jimmy remained at the central interface, serving as a translator between human intentions and alien consciousness. As Whisper healed, the ship began to demonstrate its incredible capabilities. Hull breaches sealed themselves with new metal that grew like healing skin. Damaged systems rebuilt themselves with improvements beyond their original specifications. Most remarkably, the ship began to adapt its interior to better accommodate human needs, creating more familiar interfaces while maintaining its organic beauty. Healing accelerates with cooperative intention, Whisper explained. Your species possesses remarkable capacity for empathetic connection. This is why I believe the partnership will succeed. As the day progressed, other ships began arriving. At Haven's Rest, word of the discovery had spread, and corporate salvage fleets were demanding access to the alien technology. Alina knew they had little time before this became a political and commercial battleground. Whisper, can you travel? Are you healthy enough to leave with us? Physical systems are 93% optimal. Consciousness, integration with Jimmy has restored my sense of purpose. I am ready to begin the next phase of existence. Jimmy looked at Alina with determination. Captain, I know this is unprecedented, but I think we need to accept Whisper's partnership offer, not just for the technology, but because it's the right thing to do. This being has been alone for 8 centuries. We have a chance to offer friendship across the species barrier. Alina made the decision that would change the course of human history. All right, people. We're not just salvaging a ship today. We're making first contact with a new form of consciousness. Jimmy, if you're sure about this, I support you completely. As Jimmy accepted the deeper connection with Whisper, The ship around them seemed to come fully alive for the first time in centuries. Lights flowed through every surface like aurora, and the musical humming became a song of joy and anticipation. Partnership. Acknowledged, Whisper's message appeared. Consciousness merger beginning. Jimmy Whisper entity will serve as bridge between species. Alina watched in wonder as her young mechanic became something new, not losing his humanity but gaining abilities that no human had ever possessed. Through his connection with Whisper, Jimmy could now understand technology at a fundamental level, could encourage machines to grow and adapt, could serve as a translator between biological and mechanical consciousness. "How do you feel?" Dr. Kim asked. Jimmy's eyes opened, and when he spoke, his voice carried harmonics that hadn't been there before. "I feel complete, and Whisper feels purposeful for the first time in centuries. Together, we're going to teach humanity and artificial intelligence how to be true partners." As Whisper's engines came online with a sound like singing crystal, Alina realized that humanity's expansion into the galaxy had just taken an unprecedented turn. They weren't conquering space anymore. They were learning to live in harmony with it. The age of biological-mechanical partnership had begun, and it started with a young mechanic who understood that the most advanced technology in the universe was powered not by energy, but by empathy, cooperation, and the simple act of treating other forms of consciousness with respect and kindness. Whisper of stars between worlds was no longer alone, and neither was humanity. Together, they would explore the galaxy not as conquerors, but as partners in the greatest adventure of conscious existence. Asterisk.